Hey, you, listen up. I have a public service announcement.
Okay.
Today we're going to be talking about compliments. Yeah, you know. But before we talk about that, I have this. Do you know what this is? It's a grain of salt. And it's a big grain of salt. So these compliments that we're going to be talking about, you need to take those with a grain of salt. You hear me?
Alright, hey guys, welcome to the video. If you're new here, my name's Curtis, and today we're going to be talking about compliments. You know, your overall atmosphere and how you chose your fragrance is super important to getting compliments. So if the package is put together perfectly, then comments are surely to come. But you know, if I'm wearing sandals, shorts, sandals and shorts to a formal event, I could be wearing the most expensive fragrance in the world. I'm probably not going to be able to get any compliments just because the package isn't put together well. So you know, you need to think about all of that. So if you're curious to see the fragrances that I've chosen, then let's go. First up, from the house of Nishane, we have Ani layered with Hachibat. So yeah, both of these fragrances have been pretty hyped in the fragrance community, you know, rightfully so. They're both great fragrances on their own, and I think they definitely pull compliments on their own. But if you marry these two together, layer them together, oh my gosh, it makes for a nuclear, sexy, intense concoction that's just intoxicating. And I love the sillage trail that these two leave when you layer them together. So basically you get some citrusy vanilla in here. This is a vanilla bomb, but it doesn't smell like a gourmand or edible vanilla, and that's one thing that I really like about this. And this fragrance, Ani, was perfumed by one of my favorite perfumers, Cecile Sorokian. She's done amazing work here. And when you layer this one with Hachibat, you get that heavy blast of pineapple in the opening. The opening is slightly screechy here, but I actually really enjoy it. And then in the dry down, this basically goes into heavy oak moss mode. But when you layer these two together, the combination is heavenly. I absolutely enjoy it. You know, I'm not a big fan of layering fragrances, but man, this combination really works. But in terms of my layering routine, when I do layer these fragrances up, I tend to lay down the heavier fragrance first. So the heavier fragrance is Ani for me. So usually I'll do like 2 sprays of Ani, and then I'll do 3 or 4 sprays of Hachibat. Ani is extremely strong and it pushes out heavily. And so what I kind of found with that is if I don't, you know, almost double the sprays, for example, so if I do 2 sprays here, I might do 4 sprays with Hachibat, then Ani just kind of takes over. So, you know, you have to find the right balance for you and your own skin chemistry. But for me, that type of ratio works well with my skin. Man, so this is a killer layering combination. I absolutely love it. So if you can, get yourself a sample of Ani and Hachibat by Nishane. Next up, from the house of Lorenzo Pezzaglia, we have Summer Hammer. Man, what can I say about this? This is such a transportive fragrance for me. I mean, this is vacation, beach vibes, you know, in a bottle. I tend to wear this one like when I'm dressed quite casually, summer evenings. You know, this fragrance is quite heavy and it definitely has a creaminess to it. And since I live here in Japan, we have very humid weather now. So that creaminess doesn't quite work so well for me in my own personal taste in the humid weather. So I reserved this one for summer evenings and it works a treat. This is a bomb. If you haven't checked out anything from the house of Lorenzo Pezzaglia, you definitely should. Summer Hammer is it, I'm telling you. This one is just very fruity, juicy, thick, creamy, slightly boozy. It has a, you know, coconut in here as well, but it doesn't give off like a lactonic vibe at all. So, you know, but it is really creamy. It has a bit of sandalwood in here to kind of provide that creaminess. But man, it has put together just extremely well. The mango in here really pushes out. Performance is heavy. This one pushes out easily, 10 plus hours on skin, and sillage and projection are quite heavy. But yeah, I really, really enjoy this one. Definitely one of my favorites from the house. So if you can, get yourself a sample of Summer Hammer by Lorenzo Pizzaglia. Next up, from the house of Jeroboam, we have Vespero. I love this fragrance. It's probably one of my favorite, if not my favorite fragrance from the brand. Basically, this kind of pushes in that Creed Aventus DNA, but it goes in a different direction. And it's a nice combination of being bright, but also having a darkness to it. So you get some apple and pink grapefruit in the beginning, and then as you start to dry down, you get a leather note that starts to push forward, and it kind of brings this fragrance a bit of darkness while remaining quite fresh. I really, really enjoy this one. And I remember one day I had gone out in the evening. I'd stopped by a convenience store. I went to the convenience store, I was checking out. I had dropped something, so I bent down to pick it up. When I came back up, the staff there was like,
"Oh man, you smell real good. What are you wearing?"
And so I told her what I was wearing. I don't think she had any clue, but she was like,
"Man, you pick fragrance as well."
She really, really enjoyed this fragrance, and others obviously do too. This has a really, really amazing smell, and I absolutely love this one. And Jeroboam is such an underrated house. I wish more people would check out this house. Basically, this is the sister house of Jobo, and Jobo gets a lot of love in the fragrance community, as they should. They have amazing fragrances, but Jeroboam kind of, sits in the shadows of Jobo. And man, they're a fragrance house that you should definitely check out. They produce 30 ml extrait de parfum concentration fragrances, and they are all just stunning. I love them. But yeah, this is definitely one to check out from the house. So if you can, get yourself a sample of Vespero by Jeroboam. Next, from the house of Maison Crivelli, we have Hibiscus Mahajad. Man, so this fragrance was perfumed by one of my favorite perfumers, Quentin Biche. He's doing amazing work, and I know he's gained quite a lot of popularity, especially in recent years. But yeah, he's produced a banger here. So this is basically vanilla and rose mainly, and you also have that note of hibiscus in here. And what makes this fragrance pretty unique to my own collection is I don't have another fragrance with the note of hibiscus in it. So it does make it quite unique for me. But yeah, performance on this is quite beastly. So, control your sprays depending on your environment. I typically wear this one in the spring, fall, and winter. In the summer, it's a bit too heavy of a fragrance for me to pull off here in Japan because of the humidity. However, I might be able to pull it off like in a summer evening. But yeah, this is a go-to for me once that weather starts to cool down. This one is a heavy compliment getter for me. People tend to really, really enjoy this one. And yeah, it's such a stunning fragrance. So like I said, you have that vanillic rose with that hibiscus, but it also has like a freshness to it that I really, really enjoy. This is a stunning one, and one that you should definitely get your nose on. So if you can, get yourself a sample of Hibiscus Mahajad by Maison Crivelli. Next up, from the house of Amore Bob, we have Egypt. Man, so this is an amber fougere style fragrance. And you might think, oh man, fougere, do those really bring in the compliments? But kind of like I said before, it really depends on the atmosphere and how you're presenting yourself, and did you choose the right fragrance for that particular atmosphere. But yeah, it definitely can do that. And I would say in terms of fougères that I own, is this my favorite fougere? No, but in terms of compliments, this is a heavy, heavy compliment getter. People tend to really enjoy the smell of this. Like, I remember, to give you a story, I was going up the escalator, and there was a couple behind me, a man and a woman, and I had exited off, and the woman said, "Man, somebody smells so good." And I just kind of smiled because they were right behind me, and I had actually just put this one on, so I know it was projecting off quite well, and there was a nice sillage to it. But yeah, and that's just one experience of the compliments that this one has given me. But yeah, this one really works. This is just classy, gentlemanly sophistication in a bottle, but it has a bit of seductiveness to it. This is a seductive fragrance. And yeah, I really, really enjoy this one. And what I really like about Amore Bob as well is they produce 30 ml bottles. So you can also buy in 100 ml, but for me, 30 ml bottles works a treat. So typically when I buy from Amore Bob, I always buy the 30 ml bottle. But basically with this one, you get some lavender in the top, some cardamom in the mid, and a bit of patchouli and sandalwood in the base. But yeah, this one is put together so well, and definitely a go-to for me in the fall. I like to wear this one in the fall. I just feel like the scent profile fits that particular season perfectly. So yeah, if you can, get yourself a sample of Egypt by Amore Bob. Alright guys, so that's all I have for you for today. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed today's content, and let me know down in the comment section, what fragrances do you have in your collection that bring in compliments for you? I'd love to hear about them. Alright, well, I hope you guys are staying healthy and well, and I'll see you in the next video.